All right, man. We are live. How's it going, bro?
It's going, man.
Yeah.
It's going. I mean, I'm excited. It's football's back, and that's doing that. So, no, it's a pretty crazy day.
Yeah.
A lot we had to kind of, jump hoops for, but we're here. We're here. We got a divisional round playoff show for you. We're going to be discussing, rather recapping last week because a lot of stuff happened. Some stuff that you probably would like not to talk about, but
Absolutely.
including something in regards to that helmet over there. But
yeah, let's just take a second though to appreciate these two helmets right here, these props.
Yes,
they look legit.
Fire.
They look great. We got them
really
off of Amazon. If anyone is interested, they do like these replica helmets, and these blew our expectations away. They look really nice. So.
They really do look really nice, and they're like $140. I mean, you could go get yourself one if you like. I think they owe us.
Yeah.
Well, here we are, just doing that. But no, so anyway, we got a great show for you guys planned today. We're going to be discussing last week, recapping that. We're going to be talking about the national title game a little bit, getting into the draft a little bit. Yep. But really, the focus on this show is obviously the divisional round of the playoffs and the coaching carousel, because there's a lot of head coaching moves. There's a lot of interviews. We're going to discuss, all sorts of stuff. So before we get into that, if you like us at all, you can follow Adam at Renegade Adam on Twitter. He's on Instagram, _ Adam himself. You can follow me, JkBogen on Instagram, at JkBogen DTSN on Twitter, and I'm also on Facebook, and I have Downtown Rams, and I have my own YouTube channel. He has Adam Steele as his YouTube channel, so we're everywhere. But on top of that, make sure you subscribe and follow wherever you're watching us on to the AJ Show, because we are going to be doing this every Saturday, and we want you guys to know when we're doing it immediately. Obviously, we want to share this out and get it out to everybody, but that doesn't always happen. So, we're obviously, if you like what you hear, see, whatever, make sure you're subscribing to that. So, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go right into the first thing we talked about last week, the Colts and the Bills game.
Yep.
Not
the outcome I wanted, I'll be honest.
Yeah,
I was a little salty about it. I thought the Colts had them for a while there. Towards the end, I was like, Phillip Rivers is going to do this thing.
I absolutely did not think that. I was like, they should run the ball. They should just run the ball with Jonathan Taylor. This Bills team can't stop the run.
Yeah.
I was not thinking that Phillip Rivers was going to go down. And we talked about it, before the game. Look, this team is, or not this team, rather, Phillip Rivers, he's 5-6 in the postseason. So I didn't like that going in. And I also said Josh Allen, on the other hand, is somebody that, he's great, but he will turn the ball over. He will throw interceptions in key moments. And on top of that, he will run back 20 yards and take a 20-yard sack, take themselves out of field goal range, and then you punt it back. You give this team a chance.
Yeah, I remember I was at Whole Foods when you texted me that about what happened, and then I rewatched it.
I ruined the Whole Foods experience, I see.
Dude. I was like, dang, man, Josh Allen is going to blow it. I really thought it, but hey, the Bills are good. They're a good team, so to expect them to not perform was kind of silly on my end.
No, I agree with that. And at the end of the day, this Bills team, I don't think we should look at them and like they almost lost to it's a survive and advance type of game. When you're in the playoffs, it's not about how well you win or how well you lose or how bad you lose. It's really just, did you survive? And at the end of the day, like we could argue, we'll talk about it later on with the Browns. I thought they were going to collapse in the second half. So, at the end of the day, we can use all that we want, but if you win, you win and you move on. So that's really the key here. That's the biggest thing. And so, with the Bills, we'll get into our predictions and stuff like that. And people that know me know where I'm going to go with that. But the Bills won,
Yep, they did.
So, you have to give them credit with that. The Rams.
I know.
That helmet right there. My Rams. Win despite playing broken thumb Jared Goff.
I know.
Now, I will say before we get into this, I predicted 27-23 Bills over the Colts. Ended up being 27-24, and I said come down to the last drive. So someone called me like Houdini or something. But like the other ones I got, they're nowhere near right. I just had to point that out. But the Rams, they won 30-20 against Seattle. Were you surprised?
No, because of the defense. I mean, I think what wins defense is it pretty much shows every year or what wins Super Bowls is defenses every year and a quarterback. So I wasn't surprised just because the Rams defense is so substantially better than like every other teams that's left in the playoffs now at this point, especially over the Seahawks. The Seahawks we talked about it in the show. Their defense was stepping up towards the end of the year, but everything that like was plaguing them throughout the year kind of reared its head at ugly moments where they couldn't get the stops they needed or couldn't create like the splash plays that they needed, and they really reverted back to just not a good defense. They just weren't a good defense that game, and it showed, the Rams defense is obviously for real. It kept them in the game, and also you have to give credit to the offense. Like Jared Goff didn't make any crazy, dumb, boneheaded like mistakes that he's consistently shown he can kind of tend to do in big moments.
A little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. I picked the Seahawks because I'm a quarterback guy, and I'll always look at like who's the quarterback versus the other quarterback. And so I just was like, well, obviously, Russell Wilson's far superior than a broken thumb Jared Goff, who might not even play. And then I just don't know anything about John Wolf of Wall Street. So I was like, and then like we said, their defense, the Seahawks defense, was better. It was trending up. So I expected that trend to at least stay consistent, if not continue. And it didn't. So, the better defense balled out. No mistakes on the Rams offense. They won the game. So it wasn't that surprising to see them win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. I mean, I said regardless if Wolford plays or Goff plays, I think they win. I just think they win in a different way.
Sure.
And I thought it would be closer with the Jared Goff game. I was a little surprised that it was 30-20, and I was a little more surprised that it was their most complete game of the season for the Rams. I mean, to think about that, the most complete game they played all season, all three phases of the game, was when they had a broken thumb quarterback.
I know.
I didn't expect that. I don't think many people did. But moving on, we discussed, Buccaneers, Washington football team.
Yep.
Don't cancel me. So we discussed that. And, Taylor Heineke, I don't think I gave him credit at all. I didn't give him enough credit.
I guess.
And, I mean, he played relatively well.
they kept it close. Yeah. Closer than I anticipated. But I think that comes down to the defense talk again, man. Washington's defense is for real.
Yeah.
Kept them in the game, and their quarterback couldn't get it done.
Now, do you look at that? Because I know some people are looking at, like, Tampa, they are, they have Tom Brady, they have Mike Evans, they have all the weapons, right? And they have a defense. And I know some people are looking at, like, is this the team that could win it all? And I feel like in that game, I didn't take that away. I took it away, like, again, survive in advance.
Ooh,
like
Washington's defense, though, is tough sledding, man. Take it from someone who did the Rams play them this year?
They're not a good example.
Okay. But from what I saw from them later in the season with the Steelers and stuff, man, they're a tough defense, especially when your strength is quarterback and passing attack, because they're really good with pressuring and they're really good at just coverage downfield and just creating chaos in the passing game and passing attack. So to me, I wasn't that surprised that it was close, but I also never really thought like, Tampa's going to lose this thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was more so like you're kind of hoping for if you like upsets, you're like, all right, this is cool. Yeah. This is a cool
Could have
story,
been a fun narrative,
Yeah. But yeah, I agree, and I don't think that they would have gotten past the next round. But moving on, we were listening to this in our car on our way to pick up our mini fridge.
Yep.
The Ravens and Titans. I mean, we won't get into all the. I've never heard this before, but and you guys might not care, but I have to point it out. We're listening to the game, and during the game, we hear all this like elephant noises and stuff going on. Like they were playing.
They started playing like a commercial.
They were playing
for maybe
commercial,
like a zoo or like a safari getaway.
It was hilarious. We were cracking up. I mean, it was like during the game.
Yeah, the announcers were talking over. It was funny.
Yeah. So, but here's the crazy thing though. Derrick Henry. No matter what we were saying about this game coming in,
dude,
we were like, well, this might happen, but Derrick Henry's going to get his.
Yes.
And when the Ravens shut down Derrick Henry...
Dude, 2.2 yards a carry. 18 carries, 40 yards.
Nobody could have thought that.
No.
The Ravens...
But also, you only gave him 18 carries.
That too.
In a
close
touchdown,
game. Like,
in a one-score game.
Yeah, I don't
agree with that. You
kind of
played yourselves there, for sure. But
And we'll talk about it a little bit later, but Arthur Smith, the OC for the Titans, who I was raving about last week, he got a head coaching job.
Good for him.
He's going to be with Atlanta.
Who do you think played better, Tannehill or Lamar that game?
I think Lamar. I think he did what he had to do, and, ultimately, who was the better thrower of the football? Tannehill.
Yeah.
But I think Lamar played the quarterback position overall better.
I think they played it, pretty equally, to be honest.
That's fair.
And I think it came down to the Ravens having a more successful rushing attack that game.
Yeah.
If the Titans got Derrick Henry going at all, they could have won that game. But
no, I definitely understand what you're saying there. Now, the interesting thing about the Ravens, and I said it last week, I think they're the scariest team in football. I really do.
I still don't.
I think that defense was better than I expected. And I just think with Lamar Jackson, it's just that dynamic that you have to game plan around. And now, if you say you shut down Lamar Jackson, the way JkBogen is playing, the way Gus Edwards is playing.
Just their running game in general.
I mean, and they could block. I mean, and then their defense. Their defense
is awesome.
Their defense is better on paper, even still, but it's still very, very good.
Their defense is scary. I'll give you that. The defense is pretty scary. And I feel like the people sleep on the defense a little bit.
Yeah.
But they just have
It's a
guys,
physical football game. You can tell both teams just hate each other.
And they have guys at every level of that defense that can make plays. So, yeah. But I don't know. I'm not concerned with them passing all over me. So I'm just focus on stopping the run game. And then you have yourself a football game. And I don't think the Titans did that enough. And then they didn't establish the run enough on their side.
No, I get that.
And so the outcome kind of was predictable to me,
Makes sense.
Yeah.
No, it definitely makes sense. Now, an interesting game was the Bears and Saints game, which I said would be a little closer than people thought. And for the most part, it was. I thought, Chuck Pagano's defense gave the Bears a chance to win. And at the end of the day, it was partly Mitch Trubisky, but Matt Nagy, man, what are you doing?
Dude.
He calls the worst game plan I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
In a game where we were talking about this. This is exactly the score the Saints wanted, or the Bears wanted at halftime.
Yeah. Yep.
And then Matt Nagy I don't know what he was doing. In that game, they didn't really establish the run, which I get. The Saints are a really good defense, what have you. But, they didn't, Trubisky's mobile. Get him out on, boots and, cut the field in half. Make it easier for him to read. That's his biggest thing. And I feel like that's also, I say it all the time about Jared Goff. Trubisky's mobile Goff in a sense. He really he struggles reading the field, and I feel like at the end of the day, I felt like Matt Nagy could have done a better job. And I really just feel like he failed them. Plus, you have a guy in Allen Robinson who no one can cover.
Well, you know what I'm noticing as we're pulling up each game and going through the box scores and just kind of scoping out the stats is every team that lost failed to establish the run.
No. Look at that. It's almost like if you need to run the ball in December or January football.
And hey, I said it about the Steelers not being able to run the football was going to come back to bite them. Obviously, we haven't gotten there yet, but they clearly couldn't run the football all year. And I think that's a huge part of winning in the playoffs. Defense, controlling the clock. And the teams that lost did not do those things. So
I agree.
It kind of makes sense.
Before we get into that game, I do want to say hi to everybody because I see you guys commenting here. Love the helmet, says Tyler Peak. Bruh, it's just me, says Aiden. It's Aiden too cool. It was just him at one point. Appreciate you, Aiden, for hanging in there. Nice helmets, appreciate it. Let's see. Go Rams, says Michael E. King. I like the setup, guys, says Frankie Playoffs. We're on Twitch, YouTube, Periscope, which I think is just eventually just going to be Twitter. I think they're getting rid of Periscope.
Yep.
And Facebook. So that's where you can find us. Cool office, says Michael E. King. Appreciate that, Michael. All right, so now we dive into the Steelers game. And that was disappointing. I know I don't have to tell you that. Yeah. But it was disappointing for multiple reasons because Big Ben, he had 4 interceptions, but I want you to explain to the viewers who may not have seen the game and their box score watching, right?
Yeah.
He's he had 4 interceptions, they lost, it's on him. Please explain exactly what you and I are both kind of thinking about. Not all those interceptions were his fault. I know it's really hard to explain to people because you see 4 interceptions and you're like, all right, he's responsible. But I didn't think Big Ben was terrible. I thought he played a pretty good game. He had 4 touchdowns and 500 yards.
Yep.
I think it was one of the craziest playoff performances I've ever seen.
Yeah. Well, the game itself reminded me exactly of the 2017, which you also watched, the Jaguars.
I watched that with you.
Where Ben did a similar thing, and he was the only reason they were in that game at the end. But yeah, he threw 4 interceptions, and the turnovers is what killed them. The Steelers' defense did not get any turnovers. They didn't get a QB hit or a sack. They laid a goose egg at the worst possible time. I have no explanation for it because a lot of the key guys were rested. It was just, I don't know. I guess it was just an off night. It was bad for the defense. But yeah, Ben had 4 interceptions, and 2 of them I would definitely put on him. One was just a purely bad interception where you're like, oh, there's no even talking around that one. Bad read, bad throw. Then the second one that I would put on him was him trying to dump it off to Benny Snell under pressure, and he just put too much air on it, and it floated. So I kind of understand that one. He was trying to make a thing happen, make a play happen. And then the other 2 interceptions, one, of course, the ball got tipped at the line of scrimmage, popped up, pop fly, and the Browns got under it. They got that turnover. And then the second one that I really wouldn't put on him was a throw to Deontay Johnson, where Deontay Johnson tipped it up, floated it back to the secondary. Secondary was right behind him to pick it off. But again, I mean, to follow the trend, and I just mentioned it, so Ben threw the ball 68 times, which is just insane. Like, that's so ridiculous. You should never do that. For 501 yards, 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. James Conner had 11 rushes for 37 yards. Benny Snell had 2 rushes for 13 yards.
Kyle Becker says Landry Jones took over his body in the first half.
I disagree, but whatever. But the point is, running game clearly, again, not established at all. Never got established. The Steelers, I don't know, man. They couldn't run the football all year.
So what do you tell Steelers fans at home, like, that are watching this? Like, is there a serious issue with the running backs, or is it the offensive line? Because you and I are kind of in that position where we think it's the offensive line. And I think when you watch the film,
all you have to do is watch the film, and it's the offensive line. Every time they try to run block, they get 0 push. If anything, they get pushed into the backfield. It gets blown up. Their run blocking has been abysmal all year. And anyone who thinks, that the running backs were the staple of the issue, it's probably because you're just looking at the box score and you're not seeing good stats from them. But putting on the tape, they got to overhaul the offensive line, which is sad to say because it was a strength for such a long time. But the time is up for a lot of those guys. And it came back, bit the Steelers in the butt, and it is what it is. So, but Ben is not the issue. I think you have at least two good years left in him. So I think you extend him and you build up this offensive line.
Well, I mean, let me put it this way. We saw Phillip Rivers with the Colts.
Yeah.
I think Ben's a lot better than Phillip Rivers. I feel more comfortable winning a game in the playoffs with Ben Roethlisberger than I do Phillip Rivers.
Yep, I agree.
So I don't like the idea like, well, he's thought about retirement before. Okay, but he still continues to go out there and ball,
Once you hit 35, you're thinking about retirement every offseason.
Yeah.
That's not a headline to me,
No, I agree with that. So. Now, switching gears, because we're going to talk about, right on the docket, I mean, we have the coaching news. Can't wait to talk about that. And then we have the divisional playoff round, so stick around and watch that. But we're going to talk a little bit about the national title game, NFL draft perspective. Okay,
yes.
We're not going to talk a ton, but it's just to give you an idea of basically, this is a football show. So at the end of the day, we're going to be focusing on NFL, but we're going to be doing a lot of NFL draft when that comes around. Maybe get some interviews, who knows. So, national title game, NFL draft takeaways. Yep. Let's start with Devontae Smith. Now, he is, and this is crazy because I watch a lot of Alabama football, and I loved Henry Ruggs, and I thought Jerry Jeudy was very talented.
Yep.
And, I mean, they've had all sorts of, Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones even. But Devontae Smith, is he the best receiving prospect coming out of Alabama maybe ever?
Ever? Probably not ever.
He's
phenomenal, though.
He makes no sense because athletically, he doesn't look like he's this physically gifted,
He's just – he reminds me a lot of, like, a better, more polished, like, Deontay Johnson, man. Like, he doesn't – nothing about his athleticism is, like, elite. except maybe his top end speed.
Yeah.
But like the dude is just naturally gifted, has a really natural feel for like the wide receiver position. And I love watching him play, man. He's crazy. He's awesome. Whoever gets him is getting. Oh, God.
Now, is he your wide receiver 1, or is that somebody else, like say Jamar Chase?
I probably haven't watched enough film yet to really go out on a limb and say this is my number 1. I could see a guy overtaking him, but right now, yeah, I mean he's my favorite. He's my go-to guy if I'm like who should be drafted first for wide receiver. Yeah, it's Smith.
Because. See, I tend to think it's Smith, but I think it's closer than some people are giving credit for. I think Jamar Chase is phenomenal.
You could make a case for him too, depending on what you want as well.
Yeah,
out of the position.
Interesting. Now I want to give you the floor because you did a video that I really liked about Mac Jones on your YouTube channel.
Yep.
Mac Jones, it's like we have some people that are in the middle, but for the most part, it's like I like him or I don't like him. Where do you stand?
I like him. And my headline for that video, or my stance, was basically I really would have liked him like 5 or 10 years ago. He's an old school quarterback coming into a new school league, man. Like he's big, he's strong. He's no BS. He's very confident in the pocket. Like he just looks like he has a command of the offense. He looks like the best like field general, even probably over Trevor Lawrence. I just feel like in Alabama, he was just very comfortable with where all of his weapons were going to be. He always knew where to go with the football. Great pocket passer, really accurate when he has all of his mechanics on point. He'll just hit guys right in stride. There was a lot that I liked about him, and I liked watching him play, but the one and huge piece that he's missing for me is that backyard football and mobility, like the ability to work off script or create off script, extend plays with your legs, and be a threat with your legs. Because Trevor Lawrence, obviously he's not Justin Fields or Trey Lance when it comes to mobility, but you have to respect his legs. He'll constantly move the chains with his legs if you let him.
Yeah.
So he's a threat there. And so that's why obviously he's number 1 for many more reasons, but that's why I don't ask similar questions about him. And to me, Mac Jones just doesn't have that aspect of his game really at all.
Yeah,
and it concerns me. And then, of course,
I think it's a genuine concern, too. Mobility is huge in this league.
Yeah, and then he's surrounded by who we just talked. I mean, Smith, Waddle, Najee Harris, 2 offensive linemen that are probably going to be NFL starters. I mean, being coached by Nick Saban. I mean, you put Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Trey Lance on that team, they're probably winning the championship as well, in my opinion.
Well, I agree with that. And, the thing is with Mac Jones, you have to be very careful in college. When you have college production, I've seen it with Chase Daniel, who's a career backup. He looked really good at Missouri, but he was throwing to Denari Alexander and he was throwing to Jeremy Maclin. Yeah. Those are 2 very talented receivers at the time, and then they ended up having decent NFL careers. Denario was cut short.
Yep.
But, you have guys like that. Graham Harrell. Graham Harrell's a perfect example. Do you remember him at Texas Tech throwing I think he threw 30 touchdowns to Michael Crabtree? he set records.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he was a monster,
Yeah.
but it's college production, and he had an NFL talent in Michael Crabtree. So I do say pump the brakes a little bit on Mac Jones. I see him if I see him mocked in the first round, I just am like
I hesitate.
I don't know. Like there's nothing special about him. There's nothing we haven't seen already. And so with Mac Jones, I think he's a solid quarterback. Could he be a franchise quarterback? Maybe. But I don't know if you want him to be your franchise quarterback. There are other flavors out there. Really, I'm trying to stick with the mobility factor in this. You have, guys like Myles Garrett coming in the league that can run like a 4.5 off the edge. I'm not going to have a guy that's a statue in the pocket. I'm just not.
He's not like a statue though. Like
he's not. But he does not move super well.
I mean, yeah. Well, in the pocket, I think he does. Which is another – I mean, that's one of the things I liked about him. I think he has a good feel for the pocket, awareness. But he's just not going to break the pocket and start making great things happen with his legs.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
I feel like you need that now.
You probably do more than you don't, in today's NFL.
So I've also seen Mac Jones in the same realm as, like, Kyle Trask. I don't see that they're not the same quarterback to me.
I don't really like Kyle Trask, to be honest.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of weapons at Florida, and I'm not sold on on Kyle Trask at all. To be honest with you, I think Mac Jones is a step above that. Mac Jones is definitely below Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance. I don't even think it's a debate.
No, yeah.
But I think he's the next tier of quarterback, and also Zach Wilson, who's in there as well.
Right.
Najee Harris, is he going to be the number one running back in this draft?
He should be.
He's a monster.
He's a freak, dude. Oh God, he's awesome.
He's a truck. But he's a truck if he could jump over other trucks because he was running late to work.
Dude, he's awesome. He's so fun to watch.
Yeah, he's gonna be very good. I know everyone was on they were on the ETN bandwagon.
Well, he's a little more lightning.
I think he's better than ETN.
He's a little more lightning, but I think ETN is everything. He's lightning, thunder. He does it all. I love him. A little less explosive, probably, sure, but
yeah, I think I'll have Harris higher than ETN when my grades are in. Is there anything else that came up? I mean, we didn't talk about Justin Fields. Does this concern you, this game?
Yeah,
because I think it should. Yeah, I think it absolutely should. And the bright lights were very bright. I don't think he lived up to it.
No.
Now, that doesn't mean he can never be a franchise quarterback.
No,
it doesn't mean you can't take him in the top 5, but shows me there's some concern there.
I still, he's still going to be top 10 pick, I think. I mean,
I'll be honest. I was a little concerned that Trevor Lawrence lost the game the way he did. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I don't know, man. Justin Fields concerns me a little bit because of his size. I'm just scared he's going to turn into like the RG3 route where he balls out for a couple years, but then he's a little reckless or he just takes too many hits and he can't hold up, and then that ability and athletic mobility kind of gets sapped and he turns into like a shell of himself. And those kind of quarterbacks concern me a lot for those reasons, which is why I like Trey Lance so much, because Trey Lance is huge. First off, he's not I
love Trey Lance.
He's 6'4", 225. And yes, he runs and he will sacrifice his body, but when he runs, it's smarter to me. His mobility is smarter. The decisions he makes with the football are smarter. And the only time he really sacrifices his body on runs is when it's a designed run. And if you're in the NFL, just as a coach, be like, we're not going to design as many runs. We want to protect him.
Exactly.
Let him naturally kind of navigate.
Don't talk to me about design runs.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just have concerns about him, but I still think he's absolutely worth, a top 10, 15 pick, no doubt.
Yeah.
And you should be excited if your team drafts him.
Well, and then it's like, I don't know. I kind of feel like Zach Wilson and I like Trey Lance a little bit more than Justin Fields, both of them.
Me too.
But I think Justin Fields is still a very good prospect.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah. And then, is there anything else that came to mind in that game? I guess Shaun Wade, that dude, everyone is bagging on Shaun Wade the entire game on Twitter. Everyone. Yeah. And, I mean, I feel for the guy, but, I get what people are saying. He's not a corner. He's a safety.
Yeah.
But, he's played as a boundary corner, and he got roasted.
Yeah.
So, no, I get it. He declared for the draft, so we'll see with that. But let's move on to the coaching news, because there's a lot. There's a lot to cover. Urban Meyer, sticking with college.
I know.
Urban Meyer hasn't coached in college, for about 2 years now, because it's been Ryan Day as the head coach of Ohio State. He took on an advisory role or something at Ohio State, but for the most part, you can find him on Fox Sports 1. Wasn't really, in the coaching realm.
It's weird, I gotta be honest.
And he gets hired by the Jaguars as their head coach, and they're considering using him hiring Scott Linehan as his OC. Is Trevor Lawrence, assuming he goes there, is he doomed?
I don't want to say he's doomed because I think he's awesome. So I think he can lift a franchise. But I don't like it. I mean,
I don't like it at all.
I hope they prove me wrong just for the sake of Jaguars fans and Trevor Lawrence, but it just seems weird. He's been out of coaching, and now you're gonna not just bring him back to college coaching, but you're jumping all the way up to the NFL. It just the timing and I don't know, man. To me, it's weird.
It seems rushed too because okay, so I saw they interviewed. I think it was Bieniemy, and they interviewed another guy, and then they're but they hired him. They didn't even interview him. They're oh, he wants to. All right,
it's
just
they
roll
knew
the red carpet.
What they were doing already.
Yeah,
they just had their minds made up.
I don't know. I think obviously Urban Meyer having his Florida background, I think definitely added to it. Get fans in the seats. They love Urban Meyer, but I don't like it. I thought they should have gone out and gotten. Honestly, there's a guy that the Lions grabbed, and Dan Campbell, who I actually think a culture changer, because that is what the Jaguars need. They need a guy that's going to come in and change the culture.
Yeah.
Because we already know things were great when they were winning, and then all of a sudden it went from we have Dante Fowler, we have Jalen Ramsey, we have Jonathan Cyprien, we have all these guys
deconstruct,
and now it's like everybody's Yannick Ngakoue, like. Yep. We had all these guys, and then we pissed everyone off.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you need to figure that out.
Yeah.
Especially now that you have a stud pass rusher in Josh Allen. You can't let the same thing happen.
I think they went more marketing with this, because they're like, we're getting Trevor Lawrence, huge name, and now let's get a huge name coach, Urban Meyer.
Yeah, I'm actually terrified for the Jaguars fans, because I don't think that's a good. That is not how you hire a coach. And for people saying, well, he's succeeded everywhere. Okay, he's only been in college. And everywhere he goes, when things start to look a little bit tough, he bails.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Like Ohio State with that whole thing, the whole scandal or whatever, he bailed. So, I mean...
Hopefully we're wrong, because we want to see players succeed more than anything,
I'll never root against
especially Trevor Lawrence, because we love him. So, if he goes there, hopefully they figure that out.
The Scott Linehan thing, though, I mean... He had a great offense with the Vikings in like the early 2000s. Aside from that, like he had that one offense with Dallas, which was like an anomaly because the offensive line was amazing.
Yeah.
They got Ezekiel Elliott and had Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They just got Amari Cooper. So they're like, oh, this offense is this great. This is Scott Linehan, right? No. Scott Linehan also hasn't been an OC for 2 years now. He's been an OC the majority of his career.
Yeah.
Like a long career. But I just feel like he's in the old mold, and I don't feel like he's going to help Lawrence at all. I really think that's the wrong way to go.
I hear you, man. We'll see what happens. We're just going to have to see how it unfolds, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that dominated the headlines, but really this one should steal some headlines. Robert Saleh is going to be the head coach for the New York Jets, and he's bringing over Mike LaFleur, Matt LaFleur's brother, who was I believe the quarterback coach or the wide receiver coach for the 49ers. He's going to be the OC. So the 49ers are getting plucked. In relief, the 49ers are going to promote DeMeco Ryans. If you heard of him, he played linebacker like 3 years ago.
Yeah,
and he's going to be the DC.
Good for him.
I'm happy for him. Going from a linebacker coach after playing like 3 years ago to DC, it's pretty cool. But yeah, he's going to take over as the defensive coordinator. There was some rumors that Chris Kokurik, the defensive line coach, could, but they went with DeMeco Ryans, which I like. So let's talk about it. Robert Saleh. I'm not going to get into the fact I'm really excited that he's out of the NFC West because he's had McVay's number.
Oh, my God.
Absolutely had McVay's number.
I think the Jets did a great thing, man. I like him a lot. I really do.
You do?
And I think he's one of those, like, culture change guys.
Well, I want one of those guys, and I want to make it very clear, just because your team didn't go out and get, like, a super, like, for Jets fans, for instance, just because your team didn't go out and get, like, an offensive guru like a Sean McVay or a Cliff Kingsbury or somebody like that does not mean that they picked the wrong coach. At the end of the day, I want a leader of men. We were talking about this. Tomlin does his job, and John Harbaugh does his job.
Yep.
John Harbaugh is a former special teams coordinator.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like they don't have a system. They just bring in guys that can do the job, and they do their job.
Yeah.
I don't need a giant system.
That's what I like my coach.
Although Saleh has a system with his defense. But,
But I like my coach, if he's not going to be an absolute wizard like a Bill Belichick or what we've seen from Sean McVay during his best seasons, I like my coach to be just a really good leader of men, motivator,
totally agree.
Voice for the franchise, because that's really what a head coach's job is. That's what their first job is.
They
need to be the voice for the organization. They need to set the standards for the team, for the way that they run the operations day to day. And then really on Sundays is when the least amount of work happens. Like the most work for a head coach is Monday to Saturday, bro. Like it really is. The press conferences, game planning, getting the rest of your coaches together, managing every player. Like that's where the real work comes in. So to me, how I would want to build a team is you get that guy who can be that head coach, that voice, that face that people respect and listen to, and then you put around him the X's and O's whiz kids who don't have to be good like motivators. They're just like, listen, I know how to beat this 3-4 defense. We'll just run this play, and this is great timing for play action here, and nickel base, like they worry about all that, the X's and O's. Let them handle that. That's what, to me, the perfect kind of built team and structure of a team is.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, again, I think Saleh was a good hire.
Yeah.
I thought that they might hire Brandon Staley, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
but here's the thing. I just think, Saleh, what he is on the sidelines. I mean, he's always rowdy, and he's just a guy that's in your face, and that's what I want. Like, give me a maniac, man.
You can tell he'll lead that group. He'll motivate that group.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, and I can tell you, Quinnen Williams and his defense, John Franklin Myers,
they'll eat. Bro.
Yeah. Yeah, they absolutely will. Another guy, though, that we were talking about earlier, Arthur Smith, head coach for the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about this move? I know some people are a little, like, they don't know who Arthur Smith is.
Yeah,
so
I don't know much about him.
But look at what he did with the Titans. He took over for Matt LaFleur after he went to the Packers.
Okay.
And he really built that offense up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
But again, it's how is he as a leader of men? We don't know that, but we know based on his resume, I think he deserved the job.
Yeah.
Now, my question for you is, would you stick with Matt Ryan and company, or would you A, stick with Matt Ryan and company, B, stick with Matt Ryan but draft a Trey Lance or somebody to develop and behind, or C, trade Matt Ryan to, say, the 49ers and then just bring in Trey Lance and be like, Trey Lance, you run the offense?
I mean, this could just be like being ignorant, but when was the last time the Falcons have been even remotely competitive with Matt Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, it was the Super Bowl 2016. Yeah.
4 years of just...
Well, they went to the playoffs in 2017, beat the Rams in the wild card game.
Okay.
But 2017 then.
I don't know, man. To me, Matt Ryan is kind of cooked. Like, he can still make plays and he can still put up some nice numbers, but especially with bringing in a whole new head coach, an offensive-minded head coach, no less.
Yeah.
I think you have a good pick coming up. I think if you can and someone falls to you, you draft the replacement. You draft a quarterback. But keep Matt Ryan. I don't think you cut or get rid of him or do anything crazy.
You wouldn't trade him?
If there's a good enough offer, sure. But
his MVP season came with Kyle Shanahan. And Kyle Shanahan's in San Fran, and sounds like they're done with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, if they're interested, I mean, I think that's the best fit.
It's got to be if it's right.
Yeah.
And so I don't think you're actively and aggressively like, we got to get rid of Matt Ryan somehow. I think if a quarterback falls to you that you like and you think can sit behind him for a bit, and that's like a really nice transition period and everyone's happy.
Now, would the Titans trade Tannehill?
Would the Titans trade Tannehill?
What if you offered them like a first rounder or something though? What if Arthur Smith wanted Tannehill?
I'd listen.
But I also think Arthur Smith knew how to utilize Derrick Henry to the fullest. So I think in a sense, we kind of already know where the Falcons are leaning. I wouldn't be surprised if they try a double dip. They grab Trey Lance and then they go out and they get like a Najee Harris.
That would be amazing. Good for them.
Yeah. I mean, assuming Najee Harris falls out of the first round, but that's not a guarantee.
I don't think that's happening, bro. I think people are going to love him.
Now, the Eagles are set to interview Cowboys OC Kellen Moore. I'm just going to say that right now. I think this is an awful decision. First off, I think it was an awful decision to fire Doug Pederson the way they did. Doug Pederson won a Super Bowl for you in 2017. I don't know why we all of a sudden forgot about that. Yeah, he might have thrown week 17, but I'm not firing him because of that. And they already came out and they told the media straight up, Doug Peterson's going to be back. Howie Roseman's going to be back. And then they go back on their word. I just think it shows weakness in the organization. But there's also a lot going on with that because we talked about it off air with Carson Wentz.
I don't know what they're doing. What is their plan?
It sounds to me like Doug Peterson liked Jalen Hurts more, and then Jeffrey Lurie, the owner, liked Carson Wentz more.
Yeah.
And it's like,
you guys have to have a plan.
You guys fired a coach because they disagreed on the quarterback?
You got to have a plan. I feel like they don't have a plan right now.
Yeah, that was alarming.
It's hard to predict what's going on there.
And the Eagles fans were like, why didn't Howie Roseman go with him? And I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, with the Eagles, I would just promote from within. I would bring in Deuce Staley, who's been there for...
He's a good option.
Yeah.
He's a good
him. He was with the Steelers. Yep. He played for the Eagles. He's been there since, 2008, 2009? Yeah,
so.
I mean, I feel like he's the assistant coach right now. assistant head coach. So,
so it's pretty natural.
But if they're not going to bring him in, maybe get an offensive guru because you already had one in Doug Pederson. So bring in maybe like Joe Barry or not Joe Barry, Joe Brady. Joe Barry's with the Rams. Joe Brady. That would be interesting there. But Kellen Moore, I was not impressed with the Cowboys offense at all.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, weird season, right, for the Cowboys.
Yeah, very weird season.
Very weird. So I mean,
Cowboys fans.
I don't want to make any wholesale.
Go.
I know, but I don't want to make any wholesale judgments.
True.
Yet, just because.
What if they went and got the enemy, who is another Andy Reid disciple? Instead of Pederson, they go with the enemy.
Well,
could they do that?
They could, but
or Kafka.
I want some of these nice OC names still available for the Steelers.
Okay, fair. Oh, and someone
they could.
You bring up a good point. So it's 8-2 cool. Said Matt Canada should be promoted. And then we had another guy on here that I totally lost the comment, but I was holding on to it. Happy that Fisher's gone. I think everybody that knows football's happy Fisher's gone. Yeah, there's another. Okay, the humble narcissist. Any suggestions for who the Steelers should pick up for OC?
Well, I'm not going to throw names out. You might have some better names because you're really good at that kind of stuff.
Thank you.
But to me, who I want or the type of person I want, and I've been preaching this, is someone young who is motivated, energized with new ideas. So whoever that is, whoever fits that mold. They can be a college coach. They can be, in the NFL currently as a O-line coach, tight end coach, whatever. I don't care where they come from, as long as the resume is legit. Obviously, not like a janitor at the Home Depot, but
yeah, you never know.
I want someone who's just motivated with energy.
Could be Randy Fitcher,
and is good with X's and O's because the Steelers haven't had that since Todd Haley. Really, a guy who's good with X's and O's and actually understanding. And I watched Randy Fichtner just stand on the sidelines, look bored, exhausted, running the same crossing slant route combinations, flat routes, slants, running on 3rd and long, just these boneheaded calls, zero play action, zero creativity, route concepts that don't, feed off of one another and create opportunities for the route next to it, etc.
Just blows my mind.
Just
you have guys that are amazing after the catch. So what am I going to do? I'm going to run 2-yard outs.
Just the most vanilla stuff I've ever seen. I want someone who's going to come in with a chip on their shoulder, something to prove, who's excited to be there. And so whoever fits that, that's who I want. That's my first thing.
You know who you shouldn't grab? Because I feel like I saw Randy Fichtner and in his mold, Ben McAdoo. They were running the same offense that the Giants ran.
God.
With Ben McAdoo. Yeah. I swear to God, it's the same offense. Go back and watch those
games. When they had Eli, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they had OBJ, and they're like, oh, OBJ, we know you're one of the most dominant players in space, but we're going to take the space out of it and just throw.
Now I understand what the Giants fans were going through because I would listen to them. I'm like, it can't be that bad.
Yeah, I know.
And then when you're living it, it's a nightmare, dude.
And trust me, I mean, I've seen it. Brian Schottenheimer's the OC for the Rams. Yeah, and Rob Boris, they called it the Rob Boras offense. Like Frank Signet, I'm not even gonna get that. We're past that anyway. So I'll say this: OC, this is a shot in the dark for everyone that's watching. I think the Steelers should go and give a call to a guy that's been on my show before. It's very well respected. He's on ESPN, Dan Orlovsky. I think he's the new young mind. I know it sounds crazy. He's never had coaching experience, but this guy played quarterback in the NFL. He knows what he's doing. And then when you listen to him talk, he's so brilliant. He gets it. He gets the game. So I would say give Orlovsky a call to all those Steelers fans out there. Orlovsky is the OC I think would help. Matt Canada I think is a good option, to promote from within. He's the only one I would promote from within.
He's the only one.
He was a good hire. I totally forgot you guys got him. And then I saw the other day, I was like, oh, you have him right there.
Yep.
And then there's some other options as well. But, I mean, I think for OC, I would probably say my two favorites are promote from within with Matt Canada or go with Dan Orlovsky. I know it sounds crazy, but, maybe the Rams with Shane Waldron or somebody like that because they have so many of those guys that been around McVay.
Yeah.
I know you'd like to have a McVay type of offense. I mean, I think it'd really help Ben. It's more of it'd be more of like a West Coast style. Short intermediate game, set up the play action passing attack. So maybe focus more on setting up the play action and running the ball.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I think Okay. So we just got a comment. Dan was on Pat McAfee's show yesterday.
Dan Orlovsky?
Yes, and he said he wouldn't want to coach right now because of his kids. I get that.
That's a bummer.
It is a bummer. It's
I
almost
was about to go home and watch some stuff on him.
It's almost as if he saw what I was saying, probably because he follows Downtown Rams.
Yeah.
He probably did see what I was saying.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know. It's more of, like, kind of putting him on the pedestal there. I think he's a very,
It's a bummer
talented guy.
There's not a lot of, like, new age, fresh OC options right now. There's just not. There's not a ton right now.
I know. It really is tough. I mean, I'll say this. I don't think he would necessarily – I don't know if he would leave USC. But I mentioned him earlier, Graham Harrell.
Graham Harrell. Sounds familiar.
Well, the Texas Tech guy.
Oh, yeah, duh.
Yeah, so he was the OC for the Trojans. The Rams actually were looking at him.
Oh, yeah?
Getting him as their OC. Eventually, he ended up taking the job at USC. The Rams hired Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell's an option because Kevin O'Connell is the offensive coordinator for the Rams, but he's not calling plays. And we saw the same thing with Matt LaFleur. Like, hey, I'm trying to build my resume. If I'm the OC for Sean McVay, people know I'm not calling the plays. I'll go to Tennessee, build my resume up, and then I'll get a job. That's what he did.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not, trying to get all the Rams coaches, like, let go or anything like that, but it might be an option there. I think there are definitely more guys than what's coming to mind right now. But I think the Steelers will figure it out. That's a good comment, though, Teens Toast, by the way, because I did not know that. So thank you for looking out for that.
Yeah.
Does anyone know if Matt Gase sleeps with his eyes wide open? Aiden Too Cool put that. That's just hilarious.
He's funny, bro. His comments on my stuff.
Yeah, because he follows Adam Steele. I see him all the time. So yeah, he's a good subscriber. Appreciate you, Aiden. Panthers OC Joe Brady. Is he the best offensive mind to hire right now in the league?
I guess.
I was so impressed with what he did at LSU.
Yeah.
And I feel like he was about to have a huge year with the Panthers, and they lost McCaffrey for like the entire season.
That's true. And he's like your freaking Swiss Army knife. If you want to be creative,
I was impressed the way that he used Mike Davis. Davis had a solid year in relief. He's not Christian McCaffrey.
What do you think about the Panthers quarterback situation right now, by the way?
I
you love Teddy, but...
Well, it's funny. I started not liking Teddy early on. I thought he was overrated as all hell. And then he actually went to the Panthers, and I started to like him. I like the fit. I wouldn't mind them going out and getting a quarterback to develop. I also do like P.J. Walker, who is their backup. I watched him in the XFL. But, I don't think you move on from Teddy Bridgewater. Yeah. I think if this team had Christian McCaffrey, I had them winning that division. Because I really felt like if everyone was fully healthy, they might have had a shot. They were in every game, like almost every game. So I don't know. I wouldn't give up on the Panthers, too quickly.
Okay.
But I see what you're saying though, for sure. So that's that. That is all the coaching we covered.
That was a lot.
I know it's a lot. We covered the coaching, the national title game, and the recap of the wild cards. So now we're on to the divisional playoff round. And this is huge because everybody is going to be watching today. This is the Elite Eight. Saturday games, we're going to start off Rams at Packers. You have the first seed Packers, the 6th seed Rams. Rams knocked off Seattle, as you know. Packers had a bye.
Yep.
So let's just discuss this a little bit. Now, Wolford has been ruled out, so there's no quarterback,
no controversy.
No controversy, nothing like that. Goff was a full participant in practice all week long. Then on the flip side of it, Aaron Rodgers, who hasn't had him for a bit now, is not going to have his starting left tackle, David Bakhtiari. He's out for the season. On top of
That's tough, man.
They went out and got Jared Valdir, who played. It was going to be the first ever player to play for two different teams in the playoffs. So Jared Valdir started for the Colts, and he was on the practice squad. Then he gets claimed by the Packers, and he has COVID. So he's not going to play.
That's scary for me against this Rams defense, dude. That's not good.
So it's probably going to be backup right tackle Ricky Wagner, or it'll be the left guard, who I don't – at that point, they're going to be shifting everything around because Elgton Jenkins would be the backup to Ricky Wagner.
Yeah, dude, that's not good. That's very bad.
Or they'll move Billy Turner from right tackle.
I wasn't aware of that latest news. I thought they were going to slide Valdir in there. So, that's not good, man. because that Rams defense is what's going to make or break this game.
And now the Rams, on their side, Cooper Kupp is a game-time decision. He had the knee tweak at the end of the game. I think it was a knee contusion. So that isn't ideal,
But that doesn't change their game too much because the thing that the Rams do really well with the receivers is they know how to just up the next guy. It's like next man up, and they utilize him in similar ways.
Oh, absolutely.
Obviously, he's better than Josh Reynolds, but like they'll still be able to get a similar style out of what they do with them.
Yeah.
Or at least from the way that I watch them and see them. They're pretty fluid with that kind of stuff. But it does hurt, obviously.
I think it hurts.
Is great. But
now, here's the interesting thing, because it was up in the air. Is this going to be a snow game? Is this going to be – because all Rams fans out there, I can tell you, were terrified of playing in Lambeau in the freezing cold and it being snow. Pretty much from week 7 on. Like, they're like, we don't want to go to Lambeau. No one wants to go to Lambeau in the freezing cold because Rodgers knows how to win, you know. The Green Bay Packers have played in the freezing cold before.
All the time.
The Rams don't.
No,
they're a West Coast team.
Especially when your thumb is broken now.
Yeah.
Imagine how tight that thing's going to get.
Yeah, exactly.
In the freezing cold, yeah.
Now, I'll point out, Goff said he doesn't have any pain.
That's good.
He also had a really funny quote. They asked when he's going to get the pins out of his thumb, and he said, when I'm 6 feet under. It's like, okay,
so
Goff.
They're just in there, huh?
Here's another interesting storyline for you.
That thing must have been mangled.
It
looked mangled.
Jared Goff is gaining this edge that I've never seen before. He's pissed.
Oh, well, yeah, I bet he is.
No, but I mean, we've never seen this. This has been happy-go-lucky Jared Goff. He is pissed.
Good.
There was something that came out, Mike Silver said, like, he believes that Jared Goff was benched for John Wolford. Jared Goff could have played that game, and he was benched. John Wolford gets hurt.
And he probably got mad.
Exactly.
Good. I mean, you want that in your quarterback.
Well, this is what we've been waiting for.
He's never had that killer instinct. You know?
He's never been really challenged. I mean, he hasn't been challenged since the Case Keenum, his rookie season. But I mean, that's different because he was a rookie. He was sitting behind Case Keenum. That was always decided. Now, so in this one, we're talking about that. Packers defense playing well as of late.
Yeah.
Rams, their defense is playing super well. The Rams' offense is coming off. I mean, they weren't amazing, but I think that they have the formula. They're figuring out how to win with their defense right now. And the way that is to run the football with Cam Akers. And now that they have Andrew Whitworth back, and they had Bobby Evans replace David Edwards. I actually saw, I think it was First Take or something, and they said, well, they lost David Edwards. I'm like, but you didn't clearly see the film because Bobby Evans balled at left guard. He was a monster.
Okay.
So I like the way the offensive line played Seattle. That was not an easy.
They were good, man.
Yeah, that wasn't an easy game. They stopped the run very well.
Yeah.
But Green Bay, they have guys up front: Dean Lowry, Kenny Clark, and Kingsley Keke. Their linebackers are probably the weakest link, but they're not bad. I don't think Christian Kirksey's bad. I don't think Chris Barnes, Kamal Martin are bad. And in the back end of the secondary, that's your issue.
Yeah,
Jair Alexander. You know how high I was on him, in the draft.
Awesome.
I mean,
he's great.
I think he's number 2 in the league right now. Yeah. So I think you're going to see the best 2 cornerbacks in the league. But you have Jair, you have Josh Jackson, you have Kevin King, and then you have Adrian Amos and Darnell Savage. I mean, they're loaded.
This is going to be a closer game than the Seahawk one for sure.
Well, I think so as well.
Because Rodgers is playing way better than Russ was towards the end, and the Packers defense is actually a more known commodity, and they've shown they can actually perform.
No, I agree with that.
So, yeah, it's going to be a tough one.
Now, here's an interesting thing, though. Rodgers has had games where he has a game where he played horribly and they lost to the Buccaneers 38-10.
Yep.
He has a game where he played well in the Colts game, and they lost in overtime, 34-31. And he has a game where he played okay and they lost to Minnesota 28-22. So we've seen great loss, okay loss, and bad loss. So.
Well, if any defense is going to make him look bad, it's going to be the Rams.
That's my thing. So I go into this game thinking, I mean, obviously, I think the winner of this game, I'm going to say this right now, I think the winner of this game is going to the Super Bowl. I think they're the best team in the NFC, whoever wins this game.
That's fair.
I do think, and it's weird because you're like, well, the Rams don't have a quarterback, But honestly, if Jared Goff plays any bit like he did last week, doesn't turn the ball over, just manages the game, and they can run with Cam Akers, I don't see how the Rams are going to lose if that defense is playing the way it's playing. So it's definitely it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think is going to happen this game?
So
what do you got?
I do think the Rams win this football game.
Okay.
And I know it sounds like ridiculous and homerish because I'm wearing a Rams hat. I have a Rams helmet, but hear me out. I've said this last week. This is the Brian Billick Ravens defense. And the Rams have a better quarterback than Trent Dilfer was or Tony Banks. So I think at the end of the day, this Rams team can win it all. It's a matter of week by week. We can't just say they're going to win the Super Bowl. But I can say if they win this game, I think they do make the Super Bowl. And I just think at the end of the day, Green Bay is playing very well. But they also had that bye. Everyone talks about the bye helping. I think it would have helped Pittsburgh. I think it would have helped, a team that was reeling. I don't think it helps a team that's on fire.
No.
I think if the Ravens had a bye, it would have thrown off all of their momentum. So what if that happens? Who's to say it doesn't happen? And it's not
hard.
A home field advantage like it was last year or 2 years ago.
Does Wisconsin, are they doing fans?
I think they have a few, they have 6,000 fans or whatever. They don't have a full attendance though.
I think, oh geez, dude, I don't know. I think
I'm going 24-13 because I think that's going to have to be the score for the Rams to win.
24-13.
I think the defense is going to stifle Rodgers.
By 11?
I do.
Bigger win than the Seahawks?
Well, let me add on to that. The Seahawks win.
Now you're sounding homerish.
Well, no, hear me out. The Seahawks. First off, the Seahawks win. That was garbage time touchdown. They got blown out. The 30-20 was not.
That's true.
That wasn't totally intuitive for what happened. But this game, to me, the Packers don't have to look super bad for that to be 24-13. Keep in mind, Adam, what that is. 17-13. Rams get a touchdown at the end of the game. You see what I'm saying?
It's just tough.
I feel like it's going to be close, but I think – and another thing, I want to see the Rams use Aaron Donald off the edge. Because I don't want him with his torn cartilage in his ribs. I don't want him being in the trenches getting punched at all game long. So I do think the Rams win the game.
I mean, I hate to go out on a limb here. Even because I was wrong last time I bet against the Rams, so I don't want to keep betting against them and being wrong. But I don't know, dude. I just don't see it because Aaron Rodgers, dude.
Oh, well, you don't have to tell me twice.
Aaron Rodgers, and then
I mean, I think Aaron Rodgers is the GOAT. Can I just say that? I'm not being a Rodgers hater.
No, I know.
You know that.
And then the rushing attack was pretty solid, pretty dang good. So if they can just run the ball even, solid enough today, keep things interesting, move the chains, that's going to help. And then their defense, like I said, it's actually better than the Seahawks for sure. You can consistently count on them to get some stops probably in some bigger moments when you might need them. I just see this as a more well-rounded team. And also, the Seahawks, the Rams and Seahawks know each other.
No,
and
that's absolutely
those
right.
interdivisional games are always weird. Always weird. I don't care. I say this all the time. I don't care if your team is 0-15, the other team is 15-0. You meet last week of the season. If you're interdivisional, anything can happen. They don't know the Packers.
They know Rams, more than you think.
I mean, but
the Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur dynamic.
Yes, but they don't play each other.
No,
two
I get
times
that.
a year consistently
with
that energy, that kind of knowing familiarity, and I think that's going to carry them in a way that the Seahawks game just couldn't go. They knew each other too much. So I'm going to say Packers.
All right. What's your score?
I think it's going to be close. I'll say 21-14 Packers. I don't think it's going to be any type of blowout just because the Rams defense is so dang good.
Yeah, it's also going to be really cold.
Yeah, so it's going to be
not snowing.
Probably going to be running the football a little bit more.
And that's what worries me though, because if it is running the ball, for the Packers, I'm saying, because if it is running the ball, then you have to stop Cam Akers. If that's a game where because here's the thing, this is how the Rams are going to win the game. It's very simple. Rams are going to have to play Sean McVay style football. What is that exactly?
Right.
Well, it's getting to those third and manageables.
Yeah.
Converting a 3rd and 3, a 3rd and 2, what have you.
Yep.
But on top of that, it's running the football. It's controlling the clock. The Rams are one of the best teams in the league in time of possession, and that's how they beat Seattle. They basically controlled the entire game.
And those are the things that win you football games in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Man. So the Rams have a lot going for them.
Think about this. Your defense that's dominant is always fresh because they're only playing 20 minutes a game. Yep. And Rodgers is only going to get 20 minutes on the field if you play your style of football. I mean, that's the thing.
I agree. The Rams have a lot going for them.
But they have to play that way. If they let it go to like Rodgers, like say Rodgers comes out and just dominates the first drive.
If he takes like a Rodgers game and just takes over,
then I don't know if Goff can do that in the elements.
No, he can't. Not against Rodgers. He's had games where he's like taken over to an extent, but
I've seen
when it's Rodgers
Goff throw in like the freezing cold, and I've seen him play well.
Yeah.
So personally, I saw him at the Giants game. They put up 51 points, but it's different in the playoffs. But one thing I will say, and why I'm very encouraged, is that we found out early on that Wolford wasn't going to be the guy this week. And that allowed Goff to get all the first-team snaps. Last week was crazy because he basically got thrown in there with no first-team offense.
But I also think that helped him because there was no pressure.
Yeah, but I almost feel like there was pressure because now he's like, I got to come in and I got to save our season.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, sure, there's pressure in that aspect, but like when you're fresh off the bench and you're not even expecting to play, it's just a different kind of like, all right, here I go.
Now, I want to ask you, if Wolford were playing, how different is this game going to be?
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like it's a completely different style of football.
It is, yeah. I don't know, man.
And watching the film, it's kind of sad when you see him go down because before that play, when Adams hit him,
the offense was moving.
Locked in.
And the offense was moving.
Yeah, he was locked in. You could tell it was going to be a huge game for him. But
all right, I got Packers, you got Rams.
Yeah. So now we move on, and this is going to be a fun game. Okay, this is the primetime game tonight.
Yes.
Ravens at Bills.
Yep.
Bills get another home playoff game.
Yep.
And then this is probably their last one, assuming. So, I got to say, I said the Ravens are the scariest team in the league. Everything that they're doing right now, I'm not convinced Buffalo, who barely beat the Colts, I'm not convinced that Buffalo is going to come in here and stifle Lamar Jackson and company. But I am convinced that Josh Allen is going to turn the ball over against this secondary that has Marcus Peters, that has Marlon Humphrey, Chuck Clark. This is an awful matchup, I think, for Buffalo.
I do. I agree. I do think it's going to be their toughest task so far, for sure.
I mean, I think it's a serious concern if you're a Buffalo fan going up. Like, Stephon Diggs is all the Buffalo games where they win, and like they win these games where they're going up against a tough team. They've been able to get Stephon Diggs going. How is he going to get going if you have Peters and Marlon Humphrey?
It's going to be tough, man.
Then you have to run the football, and now Baltimore showed you they just stifled Derrick Henry.
Yep.
So, I mean, just going into this game, the context we've been seeing, I can't say 100% that, like, Buffalo would win this game.
Yeah, dude, it's a tough one for me, too, because
And Buffalo can't stop the run. That also is a huge issue.
That's ginormous. That's just kryptonite there.
This team ran for 350 yards.
I know.
I think week 16.
Yeah, dude, they're
insane.
It's not a good matchup for the Bills.
No,
it's really not.
It's not.
This matchup definitely favors the Ravens.
They will have fans in attendance, but it's like 6,000.
Yeah.
So look at how big of a deal that made. Colts were right there.
I know. It makes no difference.
I will say Lamar Jackson could turn the ball over. He could throw an interception ill-advised, in the final seconds or something like that. But
I think they're going to play safe, though. I think the Ravens know that their defense is good enough to stop the running attack for the Bills, and their corners can, mitigate Diggs. Like they probably don't have to worry about him completely going off, though. I mean, he absolutely could. He's good enough. So I think they'll just play their style of football, and like you said, they're going to focus on running the ball, man.
Yeah.
Let the defense play and run the ball.
So I'm looking at this game thinking I could see 440 total yards of Baltimore, and I could see Lamar Jackson with like 120 passing yards. Yeah. Like, I'm not even kidding.
Zero touchdowns.
Like, zero touchdowns. Like, it's going to be like a weird game where they dominate, but then you're going to be like, oh, Lamar Jackson threw 4 touchdowns, right? And then you're like,
but then he ran for like, 90, 100, 2 touchdowns.
And then you had Dobbins, and I can't give this to Buffalo. I just can't.
I can't either.
Coming into this, and I said this, coming into these playoffs, I said the Ravens are terrifying. They're playing great football. And like I was saying, if they had a bye, it would have disturbed what they were doing. They're playing the type of football that they were playing last year. So I feel really good about the Ravens moving forward.
I think they get...
We'll see who they match up with.
I think it's a bad matchup. That's the only reason I would pick the Bills, because I said earlier I'm not like terrified of the Ravens, and I'm still not. I just think they landed with a team that they match up really well against. So I'm gonna pick Ravens for this, surprisingly. But I also think, if they're playing the Chiefs next week, they're not beating the Chiefs.
I guess we'll see.
But yeah, that's looking way too far ahead. But
yeah, I mean they could play the Browns. Who knows? But yeah, I mean I'm gonna go with I'm gonna say Ravens win 31.
So a bigger game, bigger score.
31-17.
Oh my God. Dang, dude. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't see that. I see like 28-20, something like that. Ravens though. I think the Ravens have a great shot to win this game.
They can't stop the run. I don't know how they're getting I don't know how they're like the defense is going to get off the field, because if they can't stop the run, hear me out. John Harbaugh's going to be like, okay, like literally don't go for don't go for the jugular. Just get those first downs, keep this drive going, and just tire them out, and then it'll open up everything moving forward.
I'll say this. If the Bills win, I will fully be a Josh Allen believer, because I still have questions about him.
Yeah, this is definitely...
But if they win this game, it's like they've answered
Well, beating Eberflus's defense and Wake Martindale's defense, that's in the playoffs. Like, he's at home, too. So, I mean, you have that dynamic, but no, I feel that. If he sends them the AFC Championship game and say that, what if they go to like Kansas City and they win? Then Josh Allen 100% has no questions. There's no question.
You tie your wagon, he's your boy. Yeah, I just think the matchup's really bad though, like we're saying, and so that leads me to lean Ravens, surprisingly, which I just like kind of decided on when looking at it now.
Yeah, I
was like, I still don't know who I'm going to pick leading up to it, but
yeah, I mean,
Which I don't love to say because I'm a Steelers fan, but can't lie.
No, I hear you, man. I mean, it's definitely my favorite of the AFC matchups. I'm not as interested in the Browns and Chiefs, but we'll get into that. But yeah, the Ravens Bills, that is it's prime time. I mean, that could end up being down in the wire, but I think it's going to be like a 31-17 game. I really do. I am that high on the Ravens. So you're predicting
Ravens control the clock, they don't make mistakes, and they force Josh Allen into some turnovers.
I am.
Right, because that's the only way that score would be that kind of.
Yeah, exactly. I think Josh Allen, he can obviously win you a game, but he can also lose you a game. Okay. And what we were talking about earlier, him taking that sack, the 20-yard loss.
Bad.
That's the type of stuff I'm talking about.
But he's really done really well at cutting that out. He would have done that 10 times.
He does, but like Indy and Baltimore are similar defenses. Baltimore just has better personnel.
Oh, I know. But I'm saying like he's gotten better at it. Because remember like the first few years, it was like, oh, dude, like he would make decisions like that all the time. And you'd be like, this guy just doesn't get it.
No, I agree
he's definitely
with that.
Grown leaps and bounds.
Oh, he absolutely has. Yeah. Now, how can Buffalo win? Well, very simple. If they can establish the run, and I think Zach Moss is out for the year now, from what I saw.
Yeah, I think I saw
that. So that's huge because, like, Motor Singletary is somebody I think he gives you, obviously, that ability out of the passing attack. And, this is somebody I think is a very good, runner. Yep. But he's not the power runner that Zach Moss is that can finish through contact the way he can. He can finish through contact. I'm not saying he can't. But you're going to see more Jonathan Williams, I think, who's solid, but you want Moss in there.
You want to tire this Ravens front out, man.
And then, at the end of the day, if Stephon Diggs can't get going, which great receivers make great plays. Yes. So, I mean, I'm expecting Diggs to get his in there.
Yeah, he'll make something happen.
But, I mean, if he can't get things going, then it's going to be an issue. But, again, for Buffalo fans that are, worried about, listening to this and hearing about it, he can make something happen. And if he does make something happen, then, it gives Buffalo some momentum. They have a defense on paper that should be way better than they play. So, I mean, that's what I'll say about Buffalo. But moving on to the Sunday games, the 4:30-ish slot, I don't remember exactly what the slot is, but the Cleveland Browns taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. what are your thoughts about this game? Obviously, you just saw the Browns. The Browns looked really good, but is that more kind of like what you were saying with the division rivalry, having the familiarity with the team, or the Browns legitimately going to have an opportunity to do that against the Chiefs?
Not what we saw. I mean, the Steelers shot themselves in the foot.
That's what I figured.
They put themselves down 28-0 pretty quickly, just through a lot of bad mistakes, bad defense, whatever you want to call it. But I've said it all year. The Browns are a good team. They built a good foundation around their running game and their offensive line, and how they utilize Jarvis Landry. They use him exactly how you should use him. So I'm not going to say they can't win the game. I mean, I don't think it's like 100% shot Chiefs are going to win this, but I don't know. I think that you just have to look at the Chiefs as a defense. Yes, they're not like elite, they're not world beaters, but they're pretty good with not making too many big mistakes, not giving up too many big plays. The key for them is just going to be stop that rushing attack, which is a huge key, obviously, because Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are freaking insane. The Steelers just got ran over by them last week, so it's easier said than done. I think the Browns, they have a fair shot to win the game, though. I
think they have a fair shot. Yeah. I'm not sold on the Chiefs. I'm really not. I don't think they got so much better, from last year. I would argue they got worse. I feel like they've regressed in a sense. I know it sounds weird because they went, 14-2, 15-1, what have you, but their defense, I have not seen much improvement at all from. And I feel like that's still the biggest thing. They don't have the great defense. They have a great defensive coordinator in Steve Spagnuolo that can get the most out of your players, but I don't love their defense. And their offense, they've had all sorts of issues with running the football. I just feel like, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is probably the best guy, but is he even going to play? I mean, he's been.
I heard
he is going to play.
No, I heard there was questions about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he had the injury towards the end of the season.
Yeah,
they have Le'Veon Bell, who. Le'Veon Bell's not same Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, but watch him come out just because it's the Browns and run all over them.
That'd be funny.
I would actually kind of find that hilarious.
I think Steelers fans would find, solace in that.
I would find that kind of funny.
But and then, they have Darrell Williams and they have Darwin Thompson. So, I mean, they have talent. I'm not going to say that they don't, but I just don't feel like they run the ball all that well. I don't really think the Chiefs have anything that no one else has. Their offense is really, really good, but
they have
the offense is also – it's like right around where the Bills are. It's right around where the Packers are. Like it's not way up here anymore.
You have Mahomes.
And so you have Mahomes.
That's what separates you.
Yeah, absolutely. You have Mahomes that can make plays after. Oh, yeah. Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce.
He separates you. Yeah.
But I think, say the Browns do a nice job of shutting down Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. That's a tough game to win.
Hard to say they're going to do that, though, with the Browns defense, and their secondary is – I don't know if they're getting a lot of people back. Pretty decimated, or at least last week it was.
And talk about
So trying to stop Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce with a linebacking core that has not been a strength really at all, and a decimated secondary, you are asking for trouble, my friend.
Here's my biggest concern with the Chiefs, though. They have games in which they blew out the Broncos in Denver 43-16. They blew out the Jets 35-9, but the Panthers, who we were talking about earlier, 33-31. The Raiders 35-31. Buccaneers 27-24. Broncos 22-16. Dolphins 33-27.
I know. All year they were in very close.
I mean,
games.
It's all close games, and
close games favor a better rushing attack.
Yeah,
which the Browns definitely
have
the advantage. They have the advantage there.
They're the scariest rushing team I've seen all year because. Yeah. Chubb, keep this in mind, Chubb missed a lot of the year.
Dude, you don't have to tell me.
So he's
Their
fresh.
Rushing attack is scary.
He's fresh. And Kareem Hunt, no matter what you have, what you think about him as a person, Kareem Hunt's a damn good football player. We knew that.
Dude, it's just scary, like you said, because as a defense, you're like, okay, all right, Chubb's around the football. All right, you get a 3 and out. You get two, 3 really good stops on him. And you think you've tired this guy out, you're done, you've seen what you've seen, and then next thing you know, Kareem Hunt's trotting on the field for his share. It's like you can't get a break. You have to be on point against them as a defense the entire game.
It's crazy. I think Chubb ran for 1,000 yards.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
I think he played 12 games.
I don't know, but
I mean that's ridiculous. Yeah, he played 12 games. Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, I thought they did a nice job of scheming guys open for, Baker Mayfield, making his time easy. And I think the Steelers' defense is way better than Kansas City's defense. Way better.
But they weren't that
They weren't that night. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, though, I think they did a nice job of scheming around, and getting guys open. Because you saw, what did I say? Baker Mayfield will lose this game. They will lose this game if Baker Mayfield has to make plays.
He didn't have to make one play.
He didn't have to make really
Not
anything.
one play. The line
they
blocked
were there
beautifully all night, and the rushing attack carried the offense.
Yeah.
And he just hit Landry on linebackers when he needed to for the conversion. It was easy. It was smooth sailing.
Landry was wide open.
It was smooth sailing for Baker.
And they kept putting – it was annoying the hell out of me. They kept putting Spillane on him. And it was like – now I keep seeing people like, Spillane's trash. I'm like, why is Spillane on –
you shouldn't be on Jarvis
Why
Landry.
is he on Jarvis Landry?
Every linebacker's trash against
come on
Jarvis
now.
Landry.
So, yeah, I mean, I think you have to look at it like the Browns have a shot. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I know I gave every reason why I wouldn't go for the Chiefs. I just think ultimately they've been there before. I feel like the Browns are they're going to be riding really high on the Steelers win.
Yeah.
I think they're being more focused on the fact they beat the Steelers than moving forward. And I think that they're going to not overlook the Chiefs. It's hard to overlook the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
But it's in Arrowhead. At the end of the day, do you trust Baker Mayfield, who's actually the oldest quarterback in the AFC left, which is weird, or Patrick Mahomes, who can, and it's like Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, or him or Rodgers. And I just feel like, to me, you have Travis Kelce.
Yep.
You have Tyreek Hill. Again, the running backs, right now, they're not playing great, but maybe Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's back. You saw him. His first game in the NFL, he had 120 yards or whatever, I'm going to go with the Chiefs, and I'm going to go – I don't think this is going to be that close, but it could be. I won't be shocked. I'm going to say 34-20.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going Chiefs. I'll say Chiefs 28, Browns 21. I think the Browns have a shot. Like, they have a shot.
They have a shot. Yeah. I think it's going to come down to how serious are they in this game, and how much of last week was about – going against the Steelers. And and all the beef around that.
The worst start I've ever seen to a football game.
I know.
Going down 28-1.
The snap over
28-0 in the first quarter.
Yeah. And I said it on Twitter. I mean, I was wrong, but I still said the Steelers are probably going to end up winning this game.
I mean, they came close for what they started. I'll give you that. But
no, I hear you. So let's so we have the Bucs and Saints.
Yep.
And this is a game where, you look at and you're like, okay, well, the Bucs and Saints have played twice this year. Yep. The Saints have won both times. The Saints have dominated them both times.
Yeah.
They've looked like the better team. How on earth did the Bucs win this game?
Oh, God. Tom Brady keep doing what he's doing. He's been really good lately.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. I mean, both their defenses are good. Saints is better, sure. Both their rushing attack. I mean, Alvin Kamara is obviously substantially better in and of himself compared to the Bucs rushing attack. But if you win, it's because of Tom Brady and the weapons, really.
Well, it's funny because originally I heard, well, the Buccaneers lost to the Saints because the Saints had the chemistry and the Buccaneers are figured it out. So they go, it's 34-23.
Okay.
And that was, in New Orleans. And then they go to Tampa, and it's 38-3.
Yeah.
Weeks later. So, what happened? I mean, I remember watching that game and thinking, I don't know what I'm watching.
But that always concerns me. Especially, like, we've talked about it multiple times.
Yeah,
already.
absolutely. You're at home and you lose 38-3?
Yeah, it's just weird games, though, with the interdivisional and...
And one thing I'll say is that, like, with the Saints and Bucs, this should be a bigger, like, deal. But, like, the Saints haven't really... They've just played their style of football. They haven't really changed anything.
Yeah.
And, so it's funny. Buccaneers lose the first game. Everyone's like, give it time. They'll get accustomed. It's all that. And then, they beat teams like not the Chargers. They beat, they beat teams, right? So they beat teams big. I think they scored like almost 50 points in the game, or they did score 50.
Yeah.
But then like the Saints, They play against the Bucs later on. It's 38-3 in their home, and now people are saying, "Well, this is the playoffs. It's been a while." But you were telling me it had been a while, and then they actually went to Tampa with and without Mike Thomas, I believe, and nothing changed. It only got worse.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do the Saints just have their number?
Possibly, but it's the playoffs, baby.
It is.
And Brady's playing his best football right now.
And I will say that, Tom Brady at 43.
And it's Tom Brady, no matter what you want to say about the guy. It's Tom Brady. So
I also want to point out, because I always hear how, well, Tom Brady's 43. Drew Brees is 42.
Yeah,
this is a battle of, the same. Yeah, it's like the same type of quarterback. Mm-hmm. Old. Well, I mean, they're not the same quarterback. Brees is obviously shorter. They play a different game. But yeah, their age bracket. Exactly. So in this game, I mean, I think Alvin Kamara is the X factor. I think if Alvin Kamara has a game where he scores 6 touchdowns, we know who wins. But I mean, regardless of that, because that's not realistic. That's not happening in this game. The Bucs are the number 1 team at stopping the run. Can the Saints run the football against the Buccaneers, who are really, really good at stopping the run? I think they can.
I think they can. So I'm leaning.
I feel
Saints.
Like I thought you were gonna.
Bucks was my dark horse, but I don't know, dude. Bad matchup for them.
The Bucs were sitting there and thinking, "Oh my God, Bears, 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 Bears." Like because, Bears and honestly, I think they probably won. Seattle beat the Rams. Those 2 teams, the Saints and the Rams this year, with that defense, really exposed Tom Brady under pressure.
Yeah. So we'll see, man. I'm going Saints, though. Yeah, I trust the Saints more. I like their defense. What's your score? I think this is going to be higher scoring. You got a dome going. I mean, you got – or no, it's in Tampa, right? Where is it?
This is in New Orleans.
It's in New Orleans. Okay, great. Yeah.
Awesome. That's even better.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be higher scoring. I'll say 35-28.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? 35-31. Make it a little closer. Because I think Tom Brady keeps it close. I think he's playing his best football right now with his team, and they seem like they kind of figured out how they want to run this offense and utilize their weapons. And I just feel like they're more comfortable than they've been. So I don't think it's going to be another repeat of a blowout. And Tom Brady, I just don't think is going to let that happen. You can embarrass him twice in the regular season, but if he has a chance a third time to go up against you, he's not going to.
I think this is going to be a close game.
Yeah, he's not going to walk in there and do the same things and expect different results. So.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Saints in this one.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a guarantee. Like, I'm not saying, Saints are 100% going to win, but I feel like everything is pointed to the Saints. It's too hard for me not to take it.
That's fair.
I think guys like Cam Jordan and, Trey Hendrickson, the way he's played this year, I think, they can really give pressure to Tom Brady. And ultimately, you just have to pressure Brady enough where, he makes a turnover or two, and I think you're going to win the game every time, to be honest with you. But this is a little different, with the way, they've been able to stop the run. But I still just think at home, the Saints really they're in their feelings right now. They know they're about they have a chance to go to the NFC Championship game again.
Yeah.
And they know what happened last time.
Yep.
And there's a chance that they could match up against that team and get revenge on them. So I'm not saying they're looking at that.
Yeah, sure.
But it just seems as though, the Saints, Packers, Rams, they were the best all year. And Tampa Bay was always that team where you're like, are they really good? Are they not good? Are they going to make the playoffs? I mean, we really we were asking every question in the book because at no point did any of the 3 teams I mentioned, Rams, Packers, Saints, fall out of the playoff race.
Yep.
They had to win to get in, but they were always in it. Tampa fell out at one point. If you remember when the Cardinals got hot, the Seahawks.
Yeah, like mid-season.
So this team has kind of been all over the map, and we keep hearing, they have to get it together. I'm going to go with the Saints. I'm going to go 30-27. They went on a Will Lutz field goal to win the game.
30-20. Yeah, so close. We're both feeling close. Yeah.
I'm thinking, it'll be celebrated as a huge year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, making the playoffs, doing what they did.
Now what? Say you get, kicked out of the race here with Tom Brady at 43. What do you do? You go again next year with him still?
Well, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, what have they done over the last 18 years, really? Tom Brady sent them back to the playoffs. The last time the Buccaneers were in the playoffs, I think they won the Super Bowl. I think that was the last time they were in the playoffs. They beat the Raiders in the Super Bowl. But I could be wrong.
40. So Tom Brady being 40, or he would be 44.
I think he said he was going to play until he was 45.
Dude,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Whenever, I don't know when he's going to kind of like officially drop off. He's crazy.
Isaac Artez commented, "Mate, it's going to be another Tom Brady Super Bowl. LOL." So we'll see. I mean,
imagine
it could.
What would that be? 7 for him?
Tom Brady won't be denied his ring. Says it's 8 and too cool.
So he'd be 7, right? Seven rings for him alone.
Yeah.
You'd have to call him the GOAT at that point.
I'd have to. Yeah.
I would still call him the GOAT now. I think.
I'm rolling with Rodgers, but
dude, 6 rings, bro. Come on. Yeah. I know that there's a lot, but 6 versus 1.
Well, here's
if Rodgers
here's my thing though.
If Rodgers even had like 3, I'd be like, okay, yeah, go ahead, call him the GOAT over Brady. But 1 to 6, man.
Well, can you say 100% that if you put Brady in that scenario with what he had with Mike McCarthy, he didn't have Gronkowski or he didn't have Randy Moss, could you say 100% that he would have more than 1 ring? And can you say that Aaron Rodgers 100% wouldn't have 6 rings
but that
with
takes,
the situation that Brady's been in?
No, but that takes a lot of projection.
But exactly.
Five Super Bowls worth of projection.
Oh, I know. But, I mean, Aaron Rodgers has he has the greatest touchdown-interception ratio of all time.
Yeah, I get it.
And, this is somebody, he's had Mike McCarthy his whole career. Now he has Matt LaFleur, and they've just gone back-to-back years going 13-3.
Listen, I'll say Rodgers is the second greatest quarterback in my book based on who I've watched and grew up with. But if
I think the thing with Brady that makes it so impressive if he wins 7.
Brady is the ultimate field general. Okay, that's what I would say. The ultimate, the greatest ever field general.
I just think the thing that makes it so impressive if he wins 7 is that if he wins 7, that means he won with 2 different teams. So he won without Belichick. Now, granted, it's a stacked roster. We're not saying it's not.
God, yeah.
But he also won with 2 different. That was my thing. Like looking at say the NBA, I was like, you can't argue to me Michael Jordan over LeBron. If LeBron goes to Cleveland and wins a title, he won a title with Miami, and he goes and wins one with the Lakers, which he did. He won all 3. So
again, though,
you win in 3 different areas. Tom Brady wins in 2. That's like the equivalent in the NBA is winning in 3. I think that's kind of where I'm at on that.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. He's just insane to me.
Because especially the NFL.
Here's the weird thing about Brady is I would call him the GOAT, but also I would say who's more talented. Like if you asked me that question, compared to let's say rookie Tom Brady versus, rookie Patrick Mahomes, rookie Rodgers, rookie Lamar Jackson, even put him in there, Josh Allen, Ben Roethlisberger, all those guys at 23 years old, you would pick all of them over Brady. So if that's your barometer for GOATness is also including who's more talented, I mean, then yeah, they all beat him out with that too. But I think when you look at the whole package, I mean, the guy generated 6 Super Bowls, and then he left that team, and they didn't make the playoffs.
And they also had 10 COVID opt-outs. They had their quarterback catch COVID.
They didn't look good.
Yeah, but I don't think they had the talent, and I think I'll say this: I think Brady left the Patriots because of that. I think he knew what was coming.
He could. Yeah, you could see that.
And he looked checked out in the Titans game, and I love how no one brings up. I mean, they almost lost to the Washington football team. That game was close with what's his name? Heineke. Mike Heineke. Yeah, so they almost lost to Heineke, and then
Heineken.
Oh no, he has some wacko video. He was with the St. Louis Battlehawks in the XFL, and I think he was bashing a can against his head because they used to drink the Bud Light seltzer. Remember, they were sponsored by it. So in the locker room, he was like, ah. It's yeah. But no, my point is that Tom Brady. I'm not going to say they almost lost, but he was in that game. And then the last time I seen Tom Brady in the playoffs, aside from that, I saw him throw a pick 6 to Logan Ryan in the wild card to lose to the Titans.
Yeah.
So
6 Super Bowls.
I get it. I do. But
and then he leaves his team, and then look at the optics on this. He leaves his team, they miss, and then he goes to a team that hasn't made it, and they're
planned. He planned the optics, man.
Yeah,
he
but
planned
still,
that.
bro.
He absolutely planned that. Brady is smart. Brady's very smart. He's very cerebral. If you think for a second that he didn't leave the Patriots.
He knows what he's doing.
He left the Patriots, okay? Like, they didn't, it's not that they didn't want him back. They would have taken him back. He left the Patriots because he saw straight up that, and look, I'm also going to give him credit in this regard because he's taken, like, significantly less money than any other quarterback. So, just to make his team win. So, I get that. But let's not act like Tom Brady didn't leave a situation that was going downhill to a situation that they were on the rise. I definitely think this team, with the talent they had, could have made the playoffs with Jameis Winston this year. I thought that they were solid last year. The biggest problem I have with that idea of thinking that it was all like, well, this is why he made Belichick and not the other way. I don't think either made either. I think they needed both of them. But what I'll say is that, like, look at what Belichick did with, like, Matt Castle, for instance.
Tom Brady this year, bro. Stats are off the charts, to be honest.
Oh, I know.
4,600, 40 touchdowns, 12 interceptions.
I know, but look at who he would have been thrown to in New England. Think about that.
No, I know, but like, I'm just saying.
Especially Edelman went down. Bro, he would have been throwing to N'Keal Harry, who's a bust. I'm sorry. I think he's a bust receiver.
Yeah.
When they chose him over DK Metcalf, I knew he was a bust.
Well, that was a mistake.
They would have been throwing to him, Jacoby Myers, the tight ends, which is a staple in a Patriot offense. They have Ryan Izzo. They have what's his name? The guy from UCLA. And then they have now Dalton Keene. So it's like they didn't have any they didn't have Gronk, they didn't have an Aaron Hernandez, like they didn't have anybody at tight end like that.
No, and I will say, like, looking at his stats the years leading up to leaving the Patriots, they weren't really that great the final 2 years with the Patriots.
So I think
29 touchdowns,
that's my point, is
11
like
interceptions,
24. His time was running out.
24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. So he probably saw the writing on the wall there, and
Absolutely.
He was smart, and he went,
Yeah.
And he's balling right now.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying, like, I don't blame him.
Yeah,
if I was Brady, I wouldn't want to stay in a situation that was going to go downhill.
But we think it ends for him here. Anyway, we both picked the same.
Oh, yeah. So. After all that.
Yeah, after all that.
Yeah, and it's the problem is it's like he's such a controversial, polarizing figure.
Well, you love to hate people that are dominant. It's easy to hate them.
And also the problem is, we get into the arguments with, like, we're talking – and we're just lucky, right? We're lucky to even see how much talent, like, we've been able to see in our lifetime. Like, seeing guys like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, it's just all sorts of quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. I mean, you name it. So, and Drew Brees. So, I mean, it's like, that's the thing. Is like, we're talking about an era of quarterbacking that has just never been, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that the fact that football is quickly becoming the most popular sport on planet Earth is attracting better and better athletes, and especially attracting those athletes to the quarterback position, which is good for everyone, right? Because you see just amazing.
This is also an end of an era, too, because I think the Brady's,
athletes.
The Breezes are going to be gone.
They're getting phased out. Yeah, like Mac Jones, like I said, man, probably 10 years ago, he's like the first quarterback you take.
Yeah, I mean, Oh, by the way, forgot to point this out. Deshaun Watson says he's done. He's out.
He officially
announced
that?
Get rid of me.
Like, did he
like
officially
I just saw that like before we went on. I forgot to mention it. He said he was like, yeah, he's out. Like he does not. They ruined it.
Sorry, Texans fans, because you guys had that guy could be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I want to pull up the tweet. I want to see it for sure, but it was
imagine
along
being
that.
A Texans fan, man. You just watched a good team basically deconstruct itself.
I was 2, then I took it to 10. That's what he tweeted out, and then there was a report that came out that said
What does that mean? That could mean anything.
No, and then there was a report that came out that said he's out.
Wow, dude.
And Deshaun Watson just followed Sean Payton on Instagram, or actually Twitter.
Dude.
So.
Someone is going to
report Deshaun Watson wants out of Houston.
Wow. Now, I mean, that could all get settled if the management is like, okay, let's be real and treat this guy like what he deserves, and they have a real conversation.
The only team Deshaun Watson follows on Twitter is the Atlanta Falcons at the moment.
Who knows? But, wow, imagine that, seeing Deshaun. Wow.
Here's the report.
R.I.P. Texans fans.
It's Deshaun Watson, in quotes, just wants out of the Texans.
They blew that. They blew it.
I mean, I think that is so ridiculous that Jack Easterby somehow turned. Like we've seen like one thing that we always said, and I wasn't a huge fan of Deshaun Watson coming out, but one thing we always said is Deshaun Watson just seems like the nicest guy. Like he seems like such a hardworking, like he's just a nice person. If you pissed him off, like he was at a 2, and that's his point. Is he was at a 2 when
Something
the organization traded away Nuke Hopkins.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. They gave him no input.
Well, yeah, but like something. I mean, he just tweeted that today.
No, he tweeted that yesterday, and then today he's out.
My point is, something probably has unfolded the last 48 hours for him.
I mean, why would I want to stay? They have no draft picks.
There's no reason to stay.
They have no draft picks. And I mean, it's ridiculous, man. I think suitors, as we close the show, I think Falcons give him a call.
There's like 3 teams that wouldn't be better if they had Deshaun Watson. I mean, technically, everyone is a suitor.
Do you think the Steelers could be a realistic suitor?
Probably. I just don't think they have
the
capital.
If they move on from Ben.
I don't think they have the capital. I mean,
I don't know how you would get it done.
Do any teams right now have multiple first-round picks this year? I actually don't know that.
Just Miami, who has their pick. That's why people are saying Tua for. Well,
I was not.
Houston's not going. But Houston's not going to be able to decide who they want. They have no leverage now. They have no leverage whatsoever. So essentially,
basically, their move is just clear up cap.
They have to get him. Yeah. They have to get him out.
Yep.
And so they're in a position where they could, like, people are arguing, like, well, like, for instance, like the Rams. Say, like, Goff loses today, and it's miserable. Don't be surprised if the Rams.
How would they afford it, though? He's 41 a year, 41 mil.
They could afford it more than the Texans can. So they would have to take Goff's contract. Goff would, if you trade, like, say you designate it as a post June 1st move, Goff would have $22 million in cap 8 and up. So then Watson gets traded to the Rams. Goff gets traded to the Texans and picks, obviously. And the Texans would have a hard time because of just how, like, the Texans have no cap. They have no picks. That's the problem.
They got to make it work for them. So who's, like, the most realistic teams that would?
The Colts have a lot of money, but you can't trade them in the division.
Oh, imagine. They wouldn't.
Dude,
I don't think the Texans are that dumb. I think they're just.
And just think about this.
Stubborn.
Everything going on, and J.J. Watt is still there. Can you imagine being him? It's just so not fair.
That's how he's got to finish his career, too.
It's ridiculous. And remember, Watson was saying, like, at the, I don't know if you saw the.
I mean, we can. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if you saw the NFL thing, but Deshaun Watson was saying, NFL mic'd up, saying after the game, week 17, I'm sorry. I'm sorry we should have won 11 games. I'm sorry we wasted your season.
Yep.
Because he gets it. Deshaun Watson does get it. The ultimate goal is to win a Super Bowl. If that's not your goal, like if I was a head coach, I'd be like, get out of here if that's not your goal.
Right.
Like for real. If your goal is to just collect a paycheck, get out. I don't want that.
Yeah.
I want guys that want to win a Super Bowl.
Well.
And so Deshaun Watson's been sitting here like, all right, you traded away Nuke Hopkins. You got me a running back, which I didn't need. He's had a shattered hand like back-to-back seasons. Why did you trade away one of the best receivers in all of football that I actually had like a good connection with? Now Will Fuller's a free agent.
Yeah.
By the way, you let go of Kenny Stills.
That's bad. But we'll save that for more off-season talk.
Yeah.
There's a lot to go over there, comb through.
But yeah, I'll say this. I think best suitors as far as realistic, obviously you have to include Miami. You have to.
Clearly, yeah.
And then, I mean, after that, you can't really include anybody in that division. I just don't think they would make that trade. The 49ers, you have to include them. Yeah, I mean, Garoppolo trade, like, that would happen. That could happen. The Jets are interesting because the Jets could trade Darnold. I don't think they will, but they could. The Jaguars could trade Trevor Lawrence.
I think you ride with Trevor, bro.
I would go with Deshaun.
I mean,
I would absolutely go with Deshaun, 100%.
I mean, I know he's proven, and that's huge.
Deshaun can come in with what they have with guys like Chark and James Robinson, and not an awful offensive line, and then their defense that I think is kind of underrated. They just need to add some pieces, and they could compete.
So you think maybe
Denver?
I mean, it is reasonable to be like, well, what if the Jags just gave up the first overall pick for Deshaun? It's reasonable, yeah.
They would need more, but yeah.
Well, but you include that in the package. I could see that, and I think if I was a Jaguars fan, I definitely wouldn't be mad because Deshaun's 25.
Yeah.
And proven commodities are huge in the NFL because it's such a big question mark. So to me, the value of knowing what you're getting is huge there.
I agree.
You know you're getting a top 5 quarterback in the NFL for the next decade.
So it has to be about salary cap. The Jaguars right now have $71 million in cap. They have the most.
They can do it.
The Colts have $61 million, but it's the Colts. They're in the division.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening.
Yep.
The Jets, $60 million. They could trade Darnold, and they have a lot of cap. The New England Patriots. Easterby, the connection to New England. They get Casario from New England. They have that there. They have $54 million in cap.
Yeah.
I could see that happening.
It works for them, yeah.
The Bengals, I don't think that they would trade Burrow.
No.
So that
they like Burrow. You know, they're going to roll with
Then
him.
Next would be $28 million. You have Tampa Bay. Do you move on from Brady and get Watson? I mean, personally, I would.
If you could do it.
If I could do it. The Browns move on from Baker after he sent you to the playoffs? I don't know about that. Won you a playoff game? I don't know.
Optics don't make sense on that.
Ravens make no sense. Dolphins have $22 million. That's not a lot of cap.
But you make it work.
You can make it work as long as it's above positive. You can make it work negative. The Rams have negative.
Yeah,
and they
just
can make it work.
For Deshaun Watson, you make those type of things work. Man.
Dolphins have the 9th. How about Washington? Were they a quarter? Could we argue that they were a quarterback away this year from maybe winning a Super Bowl?
I said that last week.
You did say that. But could we argue they could legitimately have won a Super Bowl with Watson?
With that defense, absolutely.
Okay, because I kind of feel the same.
Yeah.
Because now we're talking they're similar to the Rams. That defense win, mentality. Then you have the Chargers. I think you keep Herbert. I would.
Yeah, you keep going with him.
He's going to be rookie of the year. San Francisco has $14 million. That's not a ton, but you can make that work. Dallas is an interesting one. What's going to happen with Dak Prescott?
But you don't pay Dak, and then you turn around and I think Watson's better than Dak, but still.
I love Dak. I think.
But I think Watson's better.
Watson's better, yeah, but I definitely think they should pay Dak.
It just doesn't make sense that they would be like, no, we're not paying you Dak, and then they're like, Watson, hey,
here's
my boy. All our picks and paying you way more than Dak.
Denver 10. I think you trade Locke. Carolina.
I would get rid of Locke for Watson. Yeah.
Carolina with Bridgewater.
Oh yeah, you could do that. Pretty much every team after that is probably.
Seattle's a little weird because Russell Wilson. But
you don't do that.
But you could go down in age.
Yeah, but
and how much better is Russell Wilson than Deshaun Watson moving forward?
I don't think he is. I think he's either similar or maybe even worse.
So hear me out when I say Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson haven't been in a Super Bowl since the time they played the Patriots and lost.
Yeah.
Could they make a giant splash if that became available?
Sure. I think every team needs to entertain it that doesn't have, basically Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, or who else? It's a short list, right? Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson, yeah.
Those are your guys.
Detroit Lions.
It's like
they have $3 million in cap, but again, they're above. So
you make it work. Yeah.
The Bills, no. Titans, maybe. They're -6 though.
It's tough, but I'm sure you could make it work. The cap is kind of fake. It's very flexible.
Yeah, the worst team in the league in cap space. This is what I find funny. There's no way they could make it work. I don't think.
The Steelers?
No.
Well, they're bottom. I know
that. The Saints. Negative $99 million.
No, wait. Negative
99 million in cap space.
Projected, right? Once we see the numbers.
Yeah. But they have an average age of 28.02, so they're older, and negative 99 in cap. Oh, the Eagles, get this, negative 63.
Yeah, you either got to go Hurts or Wentz there.
Texans, negative 21. So, it's a matter of, can they make it work? And, they're just going to have to. They're going to have to make it work. Watson's not going to play for them.
All right. Well, let's wrap this thing up, man. We've been going over now. It's been a good show, though.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah.
So that's going to do it from us. Appreciate you guys tuning in, checking us out.
Thank you.
Hanging with us. Yep. It's been a fun Saturday. Crazy Saturday, but we made it work. We'll be back next Saturday. And we'll be talking about the NFC and AFC championship games.
Yes, sir.
Probably adding to the coaching carousel. And maybe we'll talk a little bit more about Watson thing. We'll have to monitor that.
Yeah,
so, all right, guys. For JkBogen, he's Adam Grego. This is the AJ Show. And as always, if you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, drop a like, and hit that bell icon. And you will get all of our videos hit right to your phone as soon as they drop. So thanks again, guys. And you guys enjoy the divisional round.